So filters, let's see something about them. In this quick video, we are not going to go through all of them and see how they works. It's just an introduction about what filters are. They are really like modifiers for 3ds Max. So basically, if you apply a filter to a layer, you will modify that layer and get a new result. Now, if you have a simple layer like these, a filter will modify the layer in a destructive way, which means that you are not going to be able to go back to the original content, which means that, one word advice from me is if you are going to apply a filter to a non-smart layer, then it's better to make a copy of that layer like I've done here. And so you can have a backup in order to go back to that if you made a mistake or if you are not happy with the result. Anyway, once you select a layer, you can go here in filters, and the first tab here, the first part, the first category here, it's all about lenses, and you can simulate distortion of the lens. You can do some post-production with the camera raw filter. You can correct the lens distortion. You can also liquify, but it's not very useful for archvids. It's a sort of finger painting, finger smudging over the image. And then we have filters about 3D, and this one, generate normal map, is pretty cool because sometimes when you have a photo and you want to put the photo on top of a render and you want to relight this photo or add some speculars, you need normal maps of that image. And this is pretty cool that we can generate normal maps directly from Photoshop. And then we have blur and blur gallery, and as you may imagine, these are filters to blur, to smudge the image in different ways. You can blur it in every way with the Gaussian. You can blur simulating the lens, so simulating the DOF, the depth of field, with a Z-depth, with the lens blur, or you can use the new ones like the field blur, which is pretty cool because allow you to put some pins over the image and blur the image in different ways, with different amount, I would say, depending on where the pins are. Distort will distort the image, like the category said. You can create waves or like twirls or stuff like that, and this is normally pretty cool when you have to do something like waves or anyway surfaces that are not even. Noise is a category that allow you to add, or you can also try to remove noise. And this is useful sometimes when at the end you want to add a kind of a noise over the whole image. Sometimes people do that because it's a sort of way to for people to stop zooming in. When you zoom in and suddenly you find some noise, your brain said, okay, let's stop zooming in, that's the image, that's it. Or maybe you want to simulate like what happens with the real camera. Normally you have a little bit more noise on the dark areas. Anyway, this part is about noise and noise reduction. Pixelate will fragment your image in different ways. Sometimes, I don't know, you want to simulate kind of a printed surface with the color half tone, or maybe you want to generate kind of a mosaic from a picture. Not very useful every day, but sometimes maybe you want to create something like this type of texture in the swimming pool from an image you have. Render is a way to create images, so you can create like clouds starting from the colors you have here. Probably the most useful is the clouds because generate that kind of noise, and you can use that noise for many reasons. Sharpen is the opposite of blur. It will sharpen up your image. Now, the one I normally use is this one, the Smart Sharpen, which is less strong than the other, and you can control the amount of sharpness. Anyway, sharpening an image, is nowadays not something I would recommend to do because it instantly reminds you of a render. And if you look at real photos, they're always a little bit blurry, even in the sharp areas. So, I would try and see what happens. And shake reduction is a cool tool to try to, if you take a photo and you were shaking, or is not perfectly sharp, you can automatically take away the blur from the original photo. Stylize is pretty cool because there's some effects here, some filters here that will allow you to create fake bump on surfaces, or find the the contours of the image, because maybe sometimes you want to add some stuff, add some informations on there. And then in other, the hide pass is pretty helpful, because hide pass will basically take away information from the image, starting from the big ones. And this is pretty cool when you have your own pictures, your own photos, and you want to take away light and shadows from there. And you can do that with this hide pass tool and the luminosity tool. Now, no makes any sense doing this on a render, but it's just to show you. And that's it. So the filters are there, and of course you need to make a new layer and apply the filter on the layer. Now, in the next video, we're going to see what is a smart object and what smart filters are. As you will see in the next video, it will make a lot more sense to work with smart filters.